What's good, TikTok? We here with another sports show live with myself and Scott Pennyman. Scott will be on in just a second. We got about a good hour, man. We got some great topics to talk about tonight. We got college football playoff, of course. NFL playoff picture, of course. NFL draft order right now is looking real. Woo, it was a lot of movement this week. LeBron at age 40, the way he's still playing. And some bold predictions for the new year. So I'm going to get Scott on right now, and we're going to jump into it. Scott, we got you?
Y'all should have me. You
I
got me?
got you. I got you. Just got to get your video on. There we go. What's good,
There we go.
brother?
What's going on, brother? How you?
I'm good. How you? Happy New
Ain't
Year.
no echo this week, is it? Ain't no echo. It's been a couple weeks.
Ain't no echo this week.
Okay.
Ain't no
So
echo
we
this
feeling
week.
good. Hey, look, we didn't do the show last week, so I got a whole lot saved up. I got a lot. If you see my social media the last couple of days, you know I got a lot. A
What's,
lot on.
what's this for?
Well, what do you mean?
What's this for?
Was for the new year, right? Is that what the drink is for?
No. Alabama's supposed to be in that playoff?
All right, look. Let's be real. Let's hold up. Let's be real.
Alabama's supposed to be in that playoff?
Let's be real, okay? Once these kids aren't playing for the playoffs,
Oh, you can't do that, man.
they don't take these seriously. Let's be real. I mean, my man the other day, and we can and we'll even probably talk about this more in a minute. My man Cam Ward left the Pop Tarts bowl at halftime.
And what was the score at halftime?
I know they were up. I can't remember the exact score when he left, but
It was a
he
close
left.
game, though, right?
Yeah, close game. He threw 3 touchdown passes. Man was out of here. He was like,
But it was a close game, right?
Yeah, it was a close
Did
game.
they look like they needed to be in the top 12 with that game? That even with him not playing in the second half, the first half was a close game.
Let's be real, man. If you're not playing for a national championship, it's pretty
You
much
playing for draft stock. You playing for transfer portal. You still playing for a reason.
Cam Ward doesn't need to play for draft stock. He's going top 3.
Now, I give you that. But again, that was a tight game first half, even with him playing. We never questioned Miami's offense or Cam Ward.
Right.
But did their defense deserve to be in the playoff?
Well, probably not because I just was watching ESPN. They just fired their defense coordinator. So,
So see what I'm saying?
but let's be real though. I mean, the bottom 4 or 5 teams, I still don't think
Are always in flux.
right.
That
I personally would still, because I believe in my heart of hearts, if Alabama made the playoffs, that you would have seen a different Alabama team. I think most of these teams, half the guys don't even play in these, Fruit of the Loom bowls or whatever it is bowls that
but
they
these
are.
guys did play. Alabama didn't show up. And I'll say this though. And this is the only reason
Right.
I bring this up. Ohio State was playing for something when they played against Michigan. And Michigan's defense looked a lot like it did against Alabama.
Oh, Michigan's a
Could
good
it
football team. I mean,
could
they're
it
the
very
national
well
champions.
be, and this is something that you see more in the NFL, where based on how you do in your conference and stuff, you have a chance to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Could it very well be that Michigan just had a bad start to their season under a new head coach,
Yeah.
and by the end of their season, they were hitting a stride and they were coming around, and we may see a much better season out of this Michigan team that the last 2 games they played was Ohio State and Alabama, and they won both
Yeah. I think
with
that's
great defense.
for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think
Remember,
it's
they didn't have a quarterback.
right.
That was their issue. They won both of these games on great defense.
Right, without probably their best defensive player,
Yeah.
who's the cornerback who's headed to the NFL. He's going to be a
That's right.
top 10 draft pick. So, yeah, I mean, this is not – I think Michigan is legit, but we've all known that about the Big Ten. You have Ohio State, who's –
No, we can't say we know that about the Big Ten and say Indiana don't deserve to be there. That's a Big Ten team that went 11-1. That's still the Big Ten.
they're very untested the whole season. I mean, when you look at their schedule, they didn't have any top 25 wins. I mean,
Did they play Michigan?
Michigan wasn't top 25.
But did they play Michigan? The team that beat Ohio State and Alabama. They beat. That's on their resume.
It is.
But they didn't deserve to be in the playoffs.
I personally
See
think
how that can just, and that's, see, my thing is, I'm not even arguing that they should or shouldn't be. My issue is speaking in the absolute that they didn't deserve to be. Because that team beat Michigan, who beat Ohio State and Alabama, two teams that everybody says should have been in the playoff ahead of Indiana. So you beat, like Ric Flair said, you beat the man that beat the man. Woo!
true. A little different Michigan team than last season, so I think we do. That's in play too. But not to discount, Alabama had 4 wins in the top 25 too. So I mean,
Right.
look, Alabama. This wasn't the Nick Saban Alabama team, right?
That's
I mean,
true.
Caleb DeBoer, he's got year one, and maybe he has to get some of his guys in there before that team gets where they're going to be one day. But
Yeah, I think they're a quarterback away from being competitive in the Big Ten because that defense showed this season what they can do. They just aren't putting the points up offensively to support that defense.
kind of crazy too to be at Michigan and don't have a quarterback. I mean, you get your pick of the litter every year of the top.
Well, but when a coach like Harbaugh leaves,
But you would just think Michigan, I mean, defending national champions, you should be able to find a 5-star quarterback that can take
well,
over.
yeah, but they were coming in with sanctions this year. Why would I sign up for that as a quarterback? They couldn't play in the postseason this year.
Well, I mean,
Because so why me as a 5-star? Now maybe if I'm like a 3-star and I'm saying I'll do a year at Michigan and maybe transfer out just to show my mettle.
Yeah.
But if I'm coming in as a highly touted recruit, I wouldn't pick Michigan just because even if we had a good season, I couldn't go to the postseason.
Well, look, they need to hit the portal this offseason to find a quarterback. I mean,
They will, and I think they will.
There's no reason nowadays that you can't find a quarterback in one offseason because there's going to be guys in the transfer portal who are available who are going to be better options than what you have.
That's right.
But, I think as you look at these playoffs as a whole, which is kind of what we're talking about first anyway, now we're down to it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, no more, we got the teams who ain't supposed to be here out the way.
Well, do we though? Because the playoff committee has already started saying they're looking at next year not giving those conference champions the automatic bye. They're going to rank them 1 through 12 and seed them based on their ranking rather than Boise State getting a first-round bye because they won their conference or Arizona State getting a first-round bye because they're already talking about changing this for next year. Well, so we may still have some pretenders in there.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think at the beginning of the season, you want to have a system in place where every team who starts their season feels like they can win a national championship.
They have a shot.
Right.
That's
so
right.
I'm fine with some of these guys getting it. I know I joke around a lot, but look, Boise State for years. Remember all these years, Boise State would have those really good teams.
Yeah.
And they would play one good team in a bowl game every year. They'd win that game.
Yeah.
And they'd be pissed. They'd be pissed like, we deserve a chance to win a national championship.
That's right.
Here is your chance now. So if Boise State gets smacked around in this first playoff game, they got Penn State, right? So if they get smacked around by Penn State.
They're starting right now. They just kicked off.
Right, so if they
just
get
kicked off
in this game, I don't want to hear no more in the coming years. We can hang with the big boys.
Well, no, you can't. But you can't dismiss it off 1 year because, like you said, TCU competed against the big boys. Boise State competed against the big boys. So the same way how what you call the big boys, Alabama's having a down year. Boise State could be a good team, but just may not be one of the best 4, 2, or 1 team in the country. So, I mean, to say they don't belong if they get smacked around, then what you saying about the other 4 teams that lost in the first round? Clemson don't belong.
All situations aren't created equal. If you're Boise State, this is your first opportunity to prove that you belong to bang with the big boys
in the playoffs.
Format, right? So all situations aren't created equal, and I wish it was all fair, but this is Boise State's first opportunity they got Penn State. Penn State has a really good defense. They got Ashton Jeanty, right? We're going to get a look at a couple different things. We're going to have a chance to see Ashton Jeanty go against probably the best
formidable. That's right.
Very formidable defense, so we can see a lot about what he's about, and just their team as a whole. Do they have the not? We know they got the X's and O's, but do they got the Jimmys and Joes to
Right.
match up with a very strong Big Ten team in Penn State? Right? I mean, Penn State's one of the best teams in the country, certainly one of the best teams in the Big Ten. So do they have do they have enough up front to be able to move that defense around and give
And that's
Genji?
now, and you said it up front, that's usually everybody has wide receivers, running backs.
Right.
We saw it with Colorado. If you don't have the big boys up front, Colorado couldn't run the ball all year. They could throw with anybody.
They can't run.
And I'm not saying that they don't have talented running backs up front.
Yeah.
So can Boise State move the line up front against Penn State and not only get a chance to make it into the next round of the playoffs, but give Ashton Jeanty a chance to break that all-time NCAA rushing record currently held by Barry Sanders?
We'll have a few more games to do it right, so it's kind of, what I'm saying.
Well, no, he may not have. He may have to do it tonight because if they don't win, he may not have a few more games to do.
Boise State is a good team, though. They're not just about Ashton Jeanty. They got some weapons, like you said. They have weapons on the outside too. Look, they're a good football team. I mean, I'm not going to dismiss this, even if they lose the game. They are a good football team, but like I say, when you've been begging for years to get in this moment, and you finally, like I always say, I did a video about this. This is like, that girl who you've been craving for like 10 or 15 years, and you've been in her inbox, you've been saying for years, hey man, you've been watching her date different guys for all these years.
This is kind of sounding like stalking.
I'm saying, like, let's say you've been waiting off in the cut. Let's say you've been waiting off in the cut. She's had 3 or 4 different boyfriends and everything, and you just been waiting for your opportunity. And then finally, she hits you up at 1 a.m. Hey, come through. When she hits you up at 1 a.m., you've been waiting for this for 10 or 15 years.
Represent.
You can't drop that ball.
You better represent.
You got to show up and show out.
That's right.
That's the equivalent of what Boise State is going to have in this playoff.
Because this could be now again because of the conference they're in, though. Yeah. I think win or lose, a good showing is good for Boise State. Because of the conference they're in, a good showing lends itself to good recruiting. And as long as you can run that conference, you find yourself back in the play. Because it's not like past years where you had to get voted in. If they win their conference, so they don't even necessarily have to beat all the big dogs this year. But you don't want to get dog walked. You want to have a good showing so that you can go to a top recruit and say, hey, we know Ashton Jeanty's moving on to the NFL. We want you, whether it's the transfer portal or a top recruit, and we can plug you in right now. And based on the conference we're in, you're going to get a chance to show your talent on the biggest stage in the play. So let's say Ashton Jeanty runs for 200 yards, 3 touchdowns, and Boise State loses 31-28. You can take that to a recruit and say, you're our missing piece, and keep the ball rolling so that at least you're winning your conference, which gives you that chance to get into playoffs every year because you're not in the strongest conference.
Man, let's be real. When you was coming out of high school, somebody going to get you up to Boise? Was that going to be one of your first choices?
Well, sir, look, you got to understand who you're talking to. I was a Division I recruit, and I literally had coaches from Ohio State, recruiters from Ohio State, come to me, shake my hand, and look me in the face and say, I thought you were a lot bigger on film. Son, you'll play in the MAC.
See? Well,
that is like, looked at me in my face, shook my hand. Son, I thought you look a lot bigger on film. You'll play. So there are guys, Ashton Jeanty got slipped through the cracks. Yeah. So now between that and the transfer portal, there's only so many running backs at Ohio State. There's only so many running backs at Alabama. You're telling me if you can make me look good, because Ashton Jeanty's about to be a top 5 pick. Yeah. You can make me look good. You can give me a good showing to get picked early in the draft. where I'm either going to be running back by committee or a second string at Alabama, yeah, you can get that guy if you continue. Again, this is just 1 year. You got to continue as Boise State. You got to make good showings. You can't get blown out. That's the key. It can't be a dog walk. It can't be a blowout. Make a good showing. Have your players getting drafted high. That's how you build a program.
Come on, man. You know damn well somebody like our guy James Peoples' son. Who's it, Jay?
Jay, he's at Ohio State right now.
You know, a guy like Jay wouldn't be going to no Boise State.
It's a chance. No, real. But look, so look at college basketball.
Yeah.
Gonzaga's been good for 20 years.
Yeah.
You had never heard of Gonzaga before the year 2000.
That's true.
So all it takes is a good showing, a good program, and a good recruiting class. Look at Indiana. And again, they didn't have the toughest schedule, but they beat everybody they played except for Ohio State. You go 11-1, you can build on that. Now we'll see what Indiana can do, because now you have to build on that. What can Indiana do next year? Because they're probably going to have a tougher schedule, because they're going to play the teams they didn't play this year, like Penn State. But you build on that. What was Notre Dame from late 1980s, either early 1990s till about 2010? Notre Dame's program wasn't nothing, but then they had that one good season, and then you start. So I think Boise can do it. I'm not saying they will do it, but they're in a weak enough conference where they have a chance to go to the playoff every year, and that helps with recruiting, is all I'm saying.
Don't be over tonight, Jack. They go home.
You don't think they got a shot?
Well, I mean, they have a shot. Yes, they're actually playing in the game tonight, so I mean, I think they have a shot.
Yeah, but everybody, look. Okay, I'm gonna take it back to another look.
I think Penn State.
I went to Akron. I was in the MAC. I didn't play in this game, but we went to Nebraska against the Tommy Frazier Cornhuskers. Yeah, we didn't have a shot, bro. They scored on their first 7 drives.
Those bodies look.
It was 49-0 before halftime. There was no shot. Yeah, being on the field, maybe it wasn't no shot.
Right. Well, I don't think the talent, with all due respect to Akron football and 1997 and 98, with all due respect to football, I think the gap between Boise State and Penn State is probably a little closer. So I do think they'll be competitive in this game tonight, but I think ultimately Penn State's front, Abdul Carter, the defensive end for Penn State, the edge rusher,
first round pick,
top 5, top 10 draft pick. He's the kind of guy that can wreck a football game. He's like Mike Parsons was there. He can totally wreck a game. So I expect Penn State's front 4 to dominate this game. And like you said, I think the trenches is where a lot of these teams have the most trouble. So I think that'll be where Boise State will have trouble. I think they'll be able to control Ashton Genty for the most part. I mean, maybe he gets some, he's a good back, so he'll get some carries. But I think that Penn State's defensive line will be able to control the game.
So do you think, because you're saying Penn State's going to win, do you think Ashton Genty gets the record? Because if you're saying Penn State's going to win, this is his only shot.
How many yards does he need?
I'm not. I would have to look it up. Let me see.
He needs a lot of yards. I think they'll, if he needs, let's say he needs 150, I don't think he gets it.
You don't think he gets 150? Because I can see. He
gets 100 tonight. I don't even know if he gets 100 for real.
Really?
I don't even know if he gets 100 yards. Yeah. That's a Big Ten front line, man. That's a Big Ten.
He need. Oh no! Wait. He needs 100 and what's that? 150, 100. He needs about 180 yards.
Okay. Yeah. No, I don't think he gets that against Penn State. I think Abdul Hodge. I think Abdul Carter and those guys are gonna lock him down. I think they control it. That's one thing Penn State can do. They're an excellent defensive team. Penn State is one of the more talented teams in the country, just overall.
Oh
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think Penn State's defense is gonna be able to do enough to Just keep him contained enough. I don't think he's going to run wild. Now watch we get on here next week and the man go for 230 yards.
I'm just saying Alabama lost. So
Alabama lost, but yeah, I think they'll take care of business. And so to get out ahead of a couple of these other games, obviously we have a couple more games tomorrow. Obviously we have Ohio State and Oregon. We have Georgia, Notre Dame,
yeah.
and then we got Texas and Arizona State, right? So there's probably not a human around.
So popping off first with Texas, Arizona State at 1 o'clock,
Yeah,
Ohio State, Oregon at 5, and Notre Dame, Georgia is the primetime game at 8:45, which I will not be watching. I don't stay up that late. 7:30, bro. You lucky you got me up on Tuesdays at 7:30. This is my bedtime.
What do you like? A grandma? Or like a grandpa? Like a
I
grandparent?
wake up at 3:30 a.m., man.
What the hell do you do at 3:30 a.m.?
I got clients at 4:30 a.m.
Wow. Okay. I probably look. I just went to bed probably like at 1:30 or 2 o'clock. So you want?
So I have my first clients at 4:30 a.m. I got clients at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., and then I go work out at 7. So I'm up at 3:30.
So you won't even see the new year come in.
Well, I'll be cool because tomorrow I'm able to sleep in. Look, I'm able to sleep till 7 tomorrow. I'm able to sleep in.
It's not nice. That must be nice,
But
right?
so I'll be up tonight to see the ball drop and everything. Hang with my lady. But so tomorrow I'll be able to watch the first 2 games, and then I'll have to catch highlights of Notre Dame and Georgia because I probably won't see that one.
Well, let's be real. There's probably not anybody outside of their close relatives that on Arizona State, outside of their close relatives that feel like they have a realistic chance to beat Texas tomorrow, right?
If their close relatives are football fans, they don't believe that they got a chance to beat Texas tomorrow.
I think for me, that's the biggest slam dunk. I think Texas takes out Arizona State. Look, I could be wrong.
You think that's a bigger slam dunk than Penn State, Boise State, or that's your biggest slam dunk for tomorrow?
Ooh, definitely for tomorrow. Yeah, okay. I don't give Arizona State much of a chance in that game, and maybe that's because I haven't seen Arizona State play a whole lot today. I know they run the ball; they have that really good running back that they feel really good about. But I think Texas looks like a well-oiled machine. The only team they lost to this year was Georgia, right? So I mean, they lost to them twice. Texas is about as well-oiled machine. Texas is about as talented of a football team as there is in the country. I put them as far just from a pure talent level. I put Ohio State and Texas.
So that was my preseason prediction.
Yeah.
The only thing that derailed that was the seeding of the conference champions. If it would have been seeding based on ranking, Ohio State and Texas would have been in the top and a half bottom of the bracket and would have had an opportunity to meet. Because I think they're the best 2 teams in the country, personally.
I think they're the 2 most talented teams in the country. I think Georgia is the best coached team.
Georgia ain't even got their quarterback no more.
That's true, but Gunnar Stockton.
Yeah, so that matters now.
Well, I cover Georgia, right? So Gunnar Stockton, who they like a lot, right? He can run the ball really well. He's not the thrower that the starter was.
That Beck is, yeah.
That Carson Beck is. He's not the starter. I mean, he's not the same level of thrower, but he adds an element. I think when you think about Georgia's team anyway, they're about running the football first.
Yes,
they got 3 really good running backs, and they really throw to set up that, right? So, I mean, I think Carson Beck this year was really doing them a lot. He was a good quarterback, but I feel like
you think if they move to an RPO type system, it'll work more in their favor. And they had what 2 weeks to 3 weeks to prepare for it.
Kirby Smart, in my opinion, is the best college football coach in the country.
Okay, not Ryan Day,
No, not Ryan Day. No. I think Kirby Smart is the best. No. Hey, look. Ryan Day was handed a team on third base and just asked to bring him home, right? I mean, they spent $20 million in NIL, got some of the best players in the country, right? And he was given the keys to a Ferrari, put on third base and said, just drive home, man. That's it. Probably the easiest.
And it broke down in Michigan.
And we don't even know what's going to happen
every year.
But yeah. So I think Georgia will be ready in that game. I think they'll be very prepared. I do think they'll take care of business against Notre Dame. Although I think this is one of the better Notre Dame teams. I think in the last couple of years, I think Riley Leonard at quarterback gives them the sort of quarterback play that they haven't had in recent years. But I do like Georgia because, like I said, giving Kirby Smart 2 weeks to prepare, I think
Three.
for me, well, actually three, yeah, three
Yeah.
weeks to prepare for a game. I think Gunnar Stockton will be ready. I think he'll be prepared because now he's almost like a mini training camp to get ready.
Right. Yes, he has. And to install a whole new system that's adapt to that player. They've basically they've basically went back to camp.
Yeah, yeah. He basically went back to
I'm
camp.
taking two. I'm taking two upsets this weekend.
Who you taking?
Ohio State over Oregon.
Okay.
Oregon won the tight game at home, which was a toss up. It could have gone either way. I think them being at home was a deciding factor. Now you get to go to a neutral site. Ohio State fans travel.
They do.
I'm taking Ohio State as the upset. I'm taking Notre Dame as the upset. And even though you have 3 weeks to prepare a new quarterback, you are still pretty much flipping your system in 3 weeks. I think they are going to miss their quarterback. And I do think that Notre Dame's QB will make just enough play. I think it's going to be a tight game, but I think Notre Dame's QB will make just enough plays for them to be able to pull out a tight game tomorrow.
See, I almost think Gunnar Stockton is probably a better fit for what Georgia likes to do, right? Because Carson Beck was more of a throwing quarterback.
Yes.
If you think back to the back-to-back national championships that Georgia had, they won those with Stetson Bennett at quarterback, who was a game manager at quarterback. He wasn't the guy who went out there who was going to use his arm to beat you and win games that way. Stetson Bennett was a ball control sort of quarterback who could take his shot when he needed to.
If it was wide open. He wasn't throwing people open. It had to be wide open.
Exactly. So he played within the scheme,
Right.
and they won. I think you'll see similar things from Gunnar Stockton at quarterback because he was a 4 or 5 star recruit too. He was a top level quarterback. He won a lot of games in high school, and he came on
stepping in, and we saw it with Ohio State in 2014. It can happen,
Yeah.
but stepping in as a backup quarterback on such a big stage, I think it's a lot to ask, and that's just I don't know. Again, those are just the two upsets I got that I'm picking this week.
I'm with you on Ohio State. I do feel like Ohio State. I actually like them to win that game. I don't like Notre Dame to win. I like Georgia to win that game, and I think Texas is going to take that home.
And you got Penn State over Boise.
Yeah.
So the only upset you have this week is Ohio State.
Yep, that's it. That's it.
So you're looking at Ohio State and Texas, and you're looking at Penn State and Georgia next week.
That's right.
So everybody, if what you're thinking happens, everybody gets what they wanted and what they thought the playoffs should be anyway. Big Ten versus SEC.
Yeah, I think that's where we're headed. Those are the two power conferences. I think that's where we're headed, and that's okay. I mean, that's probably where it should be. And that's I think those are probably the 4 best teams in the country too. I think we're talking about Ohio State, Texas, Georgia, and Penn State. Those are probably the best 4 teams all season. So I think it's not that much of a surprise that you're going to see them land in the Final Four.
Okay. Well, while we're talking playoffs, let's switch it up a little bit. Let's talk about the NFL playoff picture. So right now, you've got Kansas City has locked up the number 1 seed. Yeah. You got Detroit currently sitting at the number 1 seed in the NFC.
They got a big one coming up.
They got a big one coming up. So some teams with Kansas City, are you resting everybody this week knowing that you have the first round bye?
No, I think you go out there and play them at least a half.
At least treat it like preseason.
Yeah, it's like a preseason game. Go out there, play a half of football, stay sharp, keep your continuity. But I don't think they need more than a half. This is the Kansas City Chiefs. This team has won back-to-back Super Bowls. They're going for a three-peat. They know how to prepare themselves for a playoff game. So I don't think they need to. I don't think rust will be that much of an issue with the Chiefs because they know how to prepare. They've been here before. This isn't like a new rodeo for them. If they were a team like for their first time, let's say like the the Vikings,
right?
Well, they have to play the last week hard. But I mean, I think if they were a newer team, I'd be more.
Didn't have to. If they had it locked up.
Right. I'd be more concerned, but for where they're at right now, I don't have that much of a concern. No.
So okay, so then now the question becomes: last year was a tougher season, regular season, for them. where at the beginning of the season, people were questioning were they going to be able to keep it rolling, and then they got hot at the end of the season going into the playoffs. This season, 15-1, whether you'll be 16-1 going into the playoffs or 16-2, doesn't matter. You have the number one seed locked up.
Yeah.
Do you think having everything locked up coming down the stretch, rather than having to fight coming down the stretch, does the Chiefs a disservice in trying to go for the three-peat?
Nope. I think the Chiefs don't even matter. This Kansas City Chiefs, man. I mean, they're gonna be ready to play. I mean,
They're going to be ready to play.
They won 3 Super Bowls, in the last 5 years. Yeah. I don't think these things are a factor. I think this is going to come down to how they execute in a playoff game. And at the end of the day, can you stop Patrick Mahomes from doing what he do? And oh, by the way, now a lot of his weapons are back too. I mean, because you have
they got healthy at the end of the season. Yeah,
they got healthy. Hollywood Brown back. He hadn't been there the whole year.
Yep.
So that's another weapon on the outside that they have. Isaiah Pacheco.
Yeah.
He's now back, so now you have a full backfield. They're getting ready they're getting loaded up at the right time.
So do you think that, like you said, do you think that makes it, especially because you're reincorporating these weapons that are coming back to give them a half, like you said, that it's even more important to get more reps with these guys that are coming back in?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think you want to just get him, get Pacheco back into the flow. He hasn't been playing a lot even not that he's been back, he hasn't gotten a lot of reps. So maybe let him get a couple more reps just to get back and just get some guys loose, just get a little more continuity, then get them out there for the second half and get ready for the playoffs.
So Philly is still down Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
And now who was the backup? Kenny Pickett.
Kenny Pickett got hurt too.
So, also got hurt. So now going into the playoffs, will Jalen Hurts be ready to go in the playoffs? And if he's not, does Philly even have a chance?
If he's not ready, no, they have no chance. No. I mean, so they definitely make no mistake.
You said anybody on the field got a chance, man.
They're going to need a healthy. They're definitely going to need a healthy Jalen Hurts if they're going to be any sort of threat to go to Super Bowl. I mean, I think, this is the NFL and you need your quarterback, right? I mean, well, I'm saying this about a team that won a Super Bowl with their damn backup quarterback.
With a backup quarterback, right.
But that doesn't happen too often, right? You know what I'm saying? Maybe him, Jeff Hostetler, I remember years ago. Right? But, make no mistake about it.
Now, remember, Doug Williams was a backup, too.
He was because
so it's happened.
Yeah, so it's happened before. I wouldn't bank on it. Some tough teams in the NFC. They're going to need that ability of Jalen Hurts, his ability to run, pass, with Saquon Barkley obviously having a historic season too. They're going to need that 1-2 punch. So, yes, certainly Jalen Hurts is going to – and that's a little concerning for me because when he first went down, it seemed like nothing. Now he's been out for a week or so. So, that's a little bit of a concern, I think.
And, of course, we'll get more into the playoff discussion as the picture finalizes after this weekend's games. Same way how there's been movement in the playoffs, there's been a lot of movement at the top of the NFL draft. So if you're the Raiders, if you're one of these teams that was the Giants that was in place just last week for the top 2 picks, and you need quarterbacks. I saw what you posted on Facebook today with the first mock drafts coming out.
Yep.
Do you really think Shedeur Sanders makes it to 5?
No chance. No, because on that mock draft it had Teteroy McMillan, the wide receiver from Arizona, going number 2. That's not happening, right? I mean, the Tennessee Titans would be picking number 2 right now. They need a quarterback as better.
They need a quarterback.
Right. So there's no way Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward are going to slip past them at number 2 just so they could draft a wide receiver who won't have any quarterback to throw to him. I mean, let's just be real.
So I got a question. Yeah. Do you think that mock draft has the prime effect on it? Is Deion going to pull a Manning? Don't draft Shedeur. He's not coming.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's very possible. I think he's going to try to navigate.
Do you think that could be why they didn't have Shedeur going there in the mock draft?
That's probably part of it. Yeah, they probably are predicting, or their sources probably already know what we already know, which is Deion Sanders is going to try his best to put his son in the best possible situation for him to have success. And I don't think he believes that's probably Cleveland for sure. Maybe not Tennessee either. I don't know.
So now, if this is what I would do, I draft him, and now you got to pay me a ransom for him.
Exactly.
I'll risk wasting the pick. I'd be that. You're not gonna bully me out of the pick. So I would be so petty. Now you got it. The only well, if you're picking in the top 5, you're probably not a GM whose job is safe. No. But only a GM who's right. Only a GM whose job is safe could make that move. I'm telling the owner, I'm picking him. I know he's not coming here, but if they want him, he either plays for us, or he don't play at all, or they gotta give us a king's ransom to get him.
So you pulling an Ernie Accorsi in the 1983 draft with John Elway, and maybe taking that approach. Yeah, I mean, and I think that's the move too. I think whoever may have intention upon trading him probably will draft him, and they'll say, hey, if you want him, what do you want to pay me for him?
What you gonna give me?
3 first-round picks. This could go all the way until the start of the season. All right,
that's right. And I'm talking about I'll negotiate the spot to trade back up until. But if the deal don't get done, I'm picking him. And now whatever he either gonna play for me, he not gonna play, or you're gonna give me a king's ransom to get him where he wants to be.
Now, here's something else too with the NFL draft too, because you got all these teams who need quarterbacks, right? I mean, you have teams like the Titans, they need a quarterback. The Raiders need a quarterback. The Giants,
Browns.
The Browns need a quarterback. So the Vikings took a quarterback in the first round last year, J.J. McCarthy from the University of Michigan. Yeah. Sam Darnold is in the middle of having like an All-Pro season, and I'm guessing that they're going to want to keep him for.
He will be comeback player of the year.
So knowing that, if you're one of these teams right now that don't feel like that you're going to be in a position to take Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward, which is anyone probably not in the top 3, you giving a call to Minnesota and saying,
by all means. But now you still got to pay me. You can't just give me the draft pick that I used to get JJ. What else are you gonna give me? So I need a first. I need a third. I need something. You got to pay me because obviously you want him.
Right.
You need him. You're expecting him to start. You're not trading for him to be a backup.
Right.
So you can't. If you're one of these teams that are picking in the early teens, that's not enough to get him. What else are you? I'm making the call, but if I'm Minnesota on the other side, this sounds good. But you're asking me now to bank on 1 year of
Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold, when I drafted this guy to be my starter. So if you want me to give up on this guy, what are you gonna pay me?
I would say something like a first and a third would probably be.
You think that's enough? Now, are you talking a team in the top 5, or are you talking a team in team? Because if I'm picking 22, you got to give me a first and a second.
I'm thinking a team like the Jets, or a team like maybe even the Raiders, because the Raiders might not be anywhere close to they've won a couple games now, so they slipped down. So now being a 7th or 8th team,
look, if they about to get to Hugh Jackson, they're gonna fire him for winning.
Look, man, let me tell you. If you're a current player on these teams, people they talk all the time about, these guys who want to tank and everything like that. If I'm a coach on one of these teams, or if I'm a current player, what the hell do I care about next season for? Because why? So you can draft guys to replace me?
I do care. I do care. Because if you hear Miles, he cares to the point where he's saying, y'all need to tell me what y'all's plan is. Because I think it depends on who you are. So we were talking about this like you were talking about with the college players.
Yeah.
Alabama, what are these guys playing for? Right?
Okay. Yeah.
That could be Myles Garrett's approach, because Myles Garrett ain't going nowhere. You're not replacing Myles Garrett. But if I'm a fringe starter I'm playing for my job
Yeah.
because I make so. Like you said, why would they tank? I think it depends on the player, who they are, where they are in their career, and how secure they are in their position on the team. Everybody, like you say, is not always equal. Everybody's not in the same boat. Myles Garrett could have said, "Y'all, look, I'm about to sit down the rest of this season," and Myles Garrett ain't going nowhere.
Right.
But everybody
That's
can't. Everybody can't. Well, he wouldn't because he's a competitor.
and not a
But
coach too. I mean, Antonio Pierce doesn't care about tanking games for next year because
right, because he's trying to save his job.
coaches have been fired after just one season. So how does he know that he's going to even be around to
Exactly.
groom that quarterback who you draft next year? So I don't know why fans feel like coaches and current players care about a draft pick the next year because a lot of those guys.
I would say more the players than the coaches. Because,
Yeah,
I mean, we heard the stories here in Cleveland of the organization telling Hugh Jackson, Hugh Jackson,
yeah,
to lose. So now you have the stories on both sides of that. Of course, the organization is saying we're never saying that, and he's saying what we know it happens. We know the Knicks tanked for Patrick Ewing. We know teams tank for players. That happens, but I think that's an organization. What they do is they play DTR the last 3 games instead of playing
knowing that you can't
Jameis
win,
Winston.
knowing that he gives you the absolute best
Least
opportunity,
chance to win. Yeah.
the least chance to win because you know he's
Yeah.
so good, right?
The organizations definitely do it. They'll put guys on the IR that are healthy. You know, organizations definitely do it.
Yeah, I mean, so I think that's what the Saints are doing, like with Derek Carr, right? He says he wants to come back and play. They're not going to let him come back and play because they're trying to lose for next year to get the highest draft pick possible. So, yeah, I mean, we know that's the place, but the situation the Browns are in, as far as their top three, I mean, like I said, if you're Cam Ward's agent right now and you saw that latest mock draft that has him going number 3 overall to the Cleveland Browns, man, you better do everything you can possible to stay away from Berea and stay away from Cleveland, Ohio,
So
because that is absolutely career suicide
I
if you
saw that.
the Cleveland Browns organization drafts you.
I saw that, and I don't necessarily agree.
You don't. Explain yourself.
I think if you give Stefanski a talented quarterback, a winning quarterback that can make the plays. If you look at what Stefanski did with Jameis, if you look at what Stefanski did with last
Beckerman?
year, no, last year,
Joe Flacco?
Joe Flacco. If you look at what he did with Baker Mayfield, look at how good. Did you notice when Jameis was at quarterback, the offensive line was all of a sudden good again?
For
Because
sure.
whether he threw it to the other team or your team, he got rid of the ball.
Yeah.
Did you notice that when Joe Flacco was at quarterback, the offensive line was good? Did you notice that when Baker was at quarterback, the offensive line was good?
Yeah.
DTR holds the ball. Deshaun Watson holds the ball.
Yeah.
So now you're exposing your line by holding the ball.
Yeah.
I feel like if you give Stefanski an accurate quarterback that can make good decisions and get rid of the ball, he can win with that quarterback. If I'm Cam Ward, I'm looking more at, if you're looking at the history of Cleveland, fine. If you're Cam Ward, you're looking at a team that was in the playoffs 2 of the last 4 years, that has the NFL Coach of the Year 2 of the last 4 years, that has produced Pro Bowl players, heavily over the last 5 years, that already has a defense built in, that has weapons on the offensive side of the ball. And honestly, I think this team is a quarterback. I look at Pittsburgh. Well, Pittsburgh still had a winning record last year, but even though they didn't make the playoffs, a quarterback away. You bring in a competent quarterback like Russell, and now you see the team is in a better position. I feel like the Cleveland Browns are one of those teams. Look at Minnesota last year. Look at Minnesota this year. You bring in a competent quarterback, I feel like Stefanski can take this team right back to the playoffs next year.
Uh, mm,
What What's really different between this year's team and last year's team?
I think the offensive line got a lot worse.
Did they? Or was it the quarterbacks behind the line?
They didn't run the ball this year the way they had in recent years.
That's true. That's true. But you also had a situation where you had Chubb for what? The first 5 weeks last season. You only had him for 3 weeks total this season. So that makes a difference.
But in past seasons, though, you were able to run the ball no matter who was back there. I mean, in past seasons,
no. Ford still only averaged 4 yards a carry last year. His average yards per carry wasn't great. I think they just handed it to him more often.
But just think back through the Stefanski era, though. I mean, you had guys like Dearness Johnson who went for 160 yards on a Thursday night game against the Broncos.
Right. But who else was here last year?
Well, last year you had Kareem Hunt. Last year, it was Kareem Hunt last year.
So, do you see what I'm saying? Because if you look at Ford's numbers, his average yards per carry is his average yards per carry. You had a better talent. You put a better talented quarterback back there. You have a talented running back. That stuff makes a difference on your line. The guys that are actually, I'll sit here and I watch Jerome Ford miss holes. And I'm talking about, I'm sitting here with my pops, I'm watching the game. As a former running back, I get so frustrated at I'm talking about at the NFL level that can't read a hole. Just run right into the back of their offensive lineman. And that's what Ford does. If it's not wide open, he's getting tackled at the line of scrimmage.
Okay, so you don't think Ford's that good of a back?
No, he's not. No, he's not at all. His average is only good because of the long runs that he breaks. Okay. And he breaks those when the hole is wide open.
Okay, so I'm setting up something here. So you don't think Ford's that good of a back, right?
No.
You don't think DTR is that good of a quarterback, do you?
No.
Do you think Jed Wills is a good offensive lineman?
I think Jed Wills is a serviceable offensive lineman.
Right, and you took him top 10, right?
Yeah.
Why do people think Andrew Berry's doing a good job then? Because those are
Andrew Berry's doing a good job.
Well, I look on my social media, I'll see all over, hey, doing fine.
Somebody said that you should block him. Block him immediately. block him immediately. Block him immediately.
Players there. Your starting left tackle, who was a top 10 pick.
Yeah.
DTR, who's playing quarterback for you right now, and Jerome Ford, who they drafted. These are all guys who.
But these are also other than Jed Wills. Other than Jed Wills, what first round draft pick has he had?
Greg Newsome.
And how did Newsome turn out?
I think he's okay.
I mean, he's been really good though.
You think Greg Newsome's been really good?
He's not a Pro Bowler, but yeah, he's been a really good player for what he's been.
I think as a first round pick, you would expect somebody to be better than just like a good slot corner, good number 3 guy. Whenever he's got to play the 1 or the 2 corner, he has a lot of trouble.
So
basically, you took a really good slot corner and
a decent left tackle, a serviceable left tackle.
He's not going to be there next season.
No, he's not.
Right, so he's not that.
But he also took Dwight Jones, who was awesome last year, and then you forced him to go on the left side this year, and he wasn't quite as good.
He can't stay in shape, and he can't stay on the field. The guy's like 400 pounds. He can't stay in shape, right? I'm just going through these years of Andrew Berry draft picks now.
I got you. Again, wait. I didn't say nothing about Andrew Berry. Okay. I was just talking about, you said about Cam Ward coming to Cleveland. I think Cleveland is a quarterback away from being a playoff team again. That's all I'm saying. What was Houston before they got their quarterback? How bad was that team? They were one of the worst teams in football. They didn't even have the talent the Browns have.
So how many?
What was Washington last year?
See, part of my problem is I don't trust the guys picking the quarterback.
But if you think your statement was if you're Cam Ward, you should run from that.
Yes.
So if you think Cam Ward is good, why wouldn't he be good for Cleveland? If you look at Washington and you look at Houston, you're telling me those teams before they got Daniels and the quarterback in Houston,
CJ Stroud.
Before they got Daniels and Stroud, you're telling me they have the talent level that this Cleveland team has?
I don't think they've had the culture of beating down their quarterbacks.
I said talent. Deshaun Watson didn't get beat down. He never made it to the playoffs. He put up all them stats and never made it to the playoffs.
No, I think that was foolish too. I never felt like he was going to be the winning piece to get you over the top.
No, I'm saying in terms of Houston's history.
Right. I mean,
why would you want to go there? Why would you want to go to Washington? They didn't have a history of taking care of their quarterbacks.
That's true, but has there been a worse organization at grooming quarterbacks? Maybe the Jets have been, maybe the Bears and Jets. Browns, Bears, and Jets have by far been the.
You're joking, right?
Huh?
You're joking, right?
Well,
the two examples I just gave you were both worse. Washington and Houston were both worse.
Well, Washington had a really
Detroit
with RG3, and then Washington had the really good season with RG3, and then Kirk Cousins played.
Was that 2007? What was that? That
was 2012.
No, what was that? 2013?
Yeah, it was like
12. Kirk Cousins is 40.
Kirk Cousins had some decent seasons in Washington before he went to Minnesota.
But they never won. They were not a playoff team.
But when you look at
they were like 8-8, 7-9 every year.
Well, here's what the Cleveland Browns organization has done with the quarterback.
Made the playoffs in the last 2 years, and Baker Mayfield was a Pro Bowler.
And you got rid of the two quarterbacks that you actually had success with. So if I'm Cam Ward, I'm like,
I know that ruins my whole argument.
So if I'm Cam Ward, I could go to Cleveland, have them make the playoffs, and y'all might throw my ass the same way you did.
Look, that just ruined. I was like, damn. Look, I walked right into that one. That ruined my whole argument.
I'm just saying, if I could go there and have success.
If you have one bad year, they may get rid of
you. Having success ain't even good enough in Cleveland, because when you have success, the way Joe Flacco and Baker Mayfield did, they get you out of there.
But you know what I think messed that up?
What?
Jimmy Haslam. I'm telling you, that was Jimmy Haslam. When Baker was injured, Haslam said, we're just a quarterback away, because they had that great season with Baker going to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then that next season, Baker was injured. So in his eyes, the quarterback was the issue because Baker was injured. The quarterback was the issue, but Baker was injured, and you got rid of him. Now he's performing like a top 5 quarterback in the league.
Exactly. I mean, Baker Mayfield has had a good a season as any quarterback in the NFL right now, right? I mean, so
what he throw 4 TDs this week?
Yeah, he's thrown almost 40 touchdown passes this season already. He's second in the NFL.
You had that guy here.
You had him. You found your quarterback. You literally found your quarterback. Who I told you, I was at the combine when he stepped on the stage and said, that 1-31, y'all draft me, that's over. And he literally did
and backed it up.
He came in, backed it up, and you were in the playoffs within 3 seasons of him being there. He has one.
And you were a fumble at the 1 yard line away from beating the Super Bowl winning Chiefs that year.
You could have went to the Super Bowl with him at quarterback. He had a bad year, and you basically let Odell Beckham.
And I don't even call it a bad year. He had an injury-riddled year. Like that plays a role.
And you basically let Odell Beckham's dad punk you out of your potential quarterback for the future. That's what happened.
And that's how I know that was an ownership move.
It was a stupid move is what it was. I don't know. I'm blaming all of them. I'm blaming Andrew Berry because he's the general manager. He could have stepped up and said, no,
he can't. Because I'm telling you, his boss was the one that made that call. They're all gonna look, there's gonna be some books that come out. The same way Hugh Jackson was talking after he got fired. Yeah. These guys are gonna talk after because they have to clear their names to get jobs again in this league. They're gonna talk when they get fired. I'm telling you that was
when something goes good in the draft, Andrew Berry did a good job. When something goes really bad, it was Jimmy Haslam's fault. In
free agency, yes. When you sign a quarterback to the largest guaranteed contract of all time, you don't do that without owner. You could draft you can tell the owner, hey, we're gonna draft this guy in the 2nd round. You don't sign the largest guaranteed contract, all dollars guaranteed of all time, without the owner saying, go for it.
Well, no, he gives you the sign of approval. I mean,
I think it was his idea.
So, okay, so
even the fact, think about how it got leaked to Baker. Why would the front office let that leak?
Well, my whole thing is this. So if this worked out, right, and let's say Deshaun Watson was playing at an all-pro level, would we be giving Jimmy Haslam credit, or would we
I
be
would. I said day one. I
really?
personally have always said that I thought that was an ownership move
I have a hard
because
time believing that people in Cleveland, if Deshaun Watson was playing at an all-pro level, I have a hard time believing that people would go, "That was a hell of a move by Jimmy Haslam."
wait.
They would
I'm
be
not a
crediting Andrew
wait. I'm not a Browns fan. So I don't think like a Browns fan.
I don't think
So
I
you can't just lump me in with people in Cleveland. I'm in Cleveland, but I'm not a Browns fan. I look at everything objectively. I don't look at it like a fan.
I do too. I'm the same way.
Yeah. So the way I view it and the way I look at it is from a high level object view. Browns fans are very subjective.
Oh, yeah.
And they are very fickle. So I 100% agree with you if we're talking about Browns fans.
Yeah.
But what Browns fans believe and what is fact. What other leaks have you ever heard out of this organization? Kevin Stefanski, when he comes to the microphone, doesn't even say anything. He's like a robot. Yeah. And the GM doesn't even talk to the media. How did this stuff get back to Baker? Because the owner wanted him gone. He wanted Deshaun. This stuff was leaked purposefully to create a avenue for them to get Deshaun Watson.
Well, look, I mean, if I'm Andrew, I just feel like if this would have worked out well, we'd be sitting here giving Andrew Berry his flowers right now and saying,
I feel like you might. I'm talking about from day one when this happened.
Okay.
I put it on ownership.
Okay.
I don't think a move like that happens without ownership.
And I see people, you could tell when Cleveland fans get in their feelings, they're like, yeah, but Baker's going to choke eventually. Well, every damn body's going to choke eventually.
Eventually.
Super Bowl winner, right? I mean, so
right.
everybody's going to lose at some point. But
and check this. Even if Baker chokes in the playoffs, wouldn't you rather choke in the playoffs than be 3-14?
You about to have a top 3 draft pick again. Meanwhile, Baker Mayfield has a chance.
Choking in the playoffs.
He has an opportunity now to win his second straight division title. Do you know the last time the Browns won division title? 1989. And Baker Mayfield has an opportunity to win his second straight division title in Tampa. So you tell me who came out better with that. You tell me who.
And again, wait. You replaced Baker Mayfield with a quarterback that never won a what?
I think he won one playoff game maybe.
Did he ever win a division? Did he get a division title in Houston?
I don't know if they.
I don't think he got any.
Okay, yeah, well, it's just amazing to me how you thought a quarterback was going to get you over the hump to be a Super Bowl team who only had one playoff win up to that point and went 4-12 this season.
The previous year.
Got him, and you thought that was going to be your piece to get you to being a playoff. No. You thought that was going to be your final piece to get you to being a Super Bowl team. A guy who never sniffed nowhere near the Super Bowl yet.
I got a mock draft here that has Travis Hunter at 1.
Okay.
Shador at 2.
Okay.
Still Cam Ward to the Browns at 3. Will Johnson, the cornerback from Michigan at 4.
I like him.
Mason Graham, the defensive lineman from Michigan at 5. I'm willing to bet they just updated this right after the Michigan game. Yeah. Abdul Carter at 6. Mikael Williams at 7. Tutorial McMillan at 8. Will Campbell at 9. And Malachi Starks at 10.
A couple Georgia boys there. Those guys are really good too. Mikael Williams and Malachi Starks are 2 stars. Yeah.
And just for the record, Penn State is up 14-0 right now.
Well, didn't I say how that was going to go? I told you how that was going to go. I told you how that Penn State game was going to go. They don't have what it takes to match up front against Penn State. They're going to lose that football game tonight. Boise State's going to.
This was my issue getting back to where we started, and then we can get ready to get out of here.
That's cool.
This is why the NCAA will look at that seeding difference next year. They'll take the top 12.
Yeah.
But that conference championship is not going to get you that first round bye.
And
because Boise doesn't deserve it.
No, and I just told you that a few hours. I just told you that about 30 minutes ago before I even knew what the score was, right? Because I knew up front that's a big time Big Ten team, and they don't have the horses to match that. That goes back to my whole reason of why I didn't want SMU here. I get it. You got to let those sort of schools in because you have to give them a chance too. But when I saw they were playing Penn State, I said they got no chance to win that football game. I don't know if Alabama's a better. I don't know, but I'm just saying that one thing. They have the horses. I know Alabama has the NFL level horses.
Talent, yeah.
Talent to compete with a Penn State. I know SMU don't. I know Boise State don't.
I got you.
That's all I was saying.
Hey, look, we back next Tuesday.
Hey, I can't wait, man. I can't wait.
7:30. We're gonna have all this to talk about.
Yes.
We will have the NFL playoff seedings set up. We're after Christmas, so we're finally into basketball season.
Basketball. We'll talk a little more about that.
Maybe the Cavs will finally start to get some respect. They don't even get no national TV games. But they got 2 tough ones coming up. They got OKC twice in like 8 days.
And they got LeBron. You know, I know we talked about that going.
I said tough ones.
Yeah. What was it?
Tough ones. The Lake.
That's always going to be a tough one. Still, I mean, LeBron James at 40 and Anthony Davis. That's still going to be a tough.
That's still a tough out.
That's still a tough out. I mean, LeBron James at 40. No, I don't think that they're the perennial playoff team, the perennial championship contending team that they would normally be with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. But I still think LeBron is playing at a good enough level where on any given night, he can still go for 40. And he's 40.
Right.
Watch him try to go for 40 tonight now that
he's 40. Yeah. So we'll see y'all next week, 7:30 p.m. Tuesday. This will be posted live on my YouTube channel. I don't know if Scott, are you posting them on your YouTube channel as well?
I would definitely post this one.
All right, bro. I'll see you next Tuesday at 7:30.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year, bro.
Happy New Year, bro.
All right, peace.